Hi, everyone. I'm with Claire McRoy, and she has just completed her first year of, or the 1 year program of the SuperLab Over 45. She's feeling really great, and she wanted to reach out and talk. I asked if we could record this conversation so she could fill people in that are interested in maybe doing the program too. So, Claire, thanks very much for joining us and then speaking with us. How's it
You're
going?
very welcome. Yeah, really, really, really good. I've
Awesome.
got so much to be thankful for. It's been a great year.
Tell
Really,
me.
really good.
Tell me.
Yeah. The ads, I love the fact that we add
Yeah.
into, sort of our day. So I'm drinking my broth.
What's your broth made out of? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I have a liter of filtered water, and
Yeah.
then I add to it 2 teaspoons of onion salt,
Yeah.
one of garlic salt,
Yeah.
cayenne pepper, and 2 tablespoons of the fermented yeast,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then just bring that to sort of to heat it up. And what I find is that it's so strange. My body craves it. So when I get up and it's like, okay, I need to get that now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes I walk my dog before I have it, and sort of when I come back, I think, oh yeah, I need that now.
It's great. Like for me right now, it's winter time where I'm in New Zealand, and it's just
Yes.
so good to have it. And I just want to, it's for people that are listening, what you mean by the add is like, the core of the Gabriel method is really about adding what's missing, adding nutrients in a highly digestible form, adding things that help you reduce stress and work through trauma and getting more sunlight. It's all about adding as opposed to taking away. We're not counting calories. We're not subtracting things. We're not taking away. We're adding. And by adding, you address the real issues, get your body to want to be thin. And that's the whole point, is that we try to get our bodies to want to be thin so that you're naturally not as hungry and your metabolism speeds up and all the good things happen. So hopefully that happened to you. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I've also added in kefir.
Yeah.
So hadn't ever, had that in my life.
Good
I've
digestion.
tried the pleasure of raw milk and raw cheese as well.
Yeah.
I have a really hot sauna for 30 minutes twice a week,
Yeah.
followed by a freezing cold shower. They don't have a cool, sort of plunger in the gym that I go to, but uh, so that's when the first time I did that, I thought, right, okay, let's do this, and I didn't go in for 30 minutes the first time. You build up to it, don't you? But the cold shower afterwards, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I play a lot of tennis, and now I regularly have a cold shower afterwards. And it's bizarre. Your body gets used to whatever it is that you subject it to, and it's a good stress, isn't it? The heat and
Yeah,
the
well,
cold.
and now what Claire's talking about now is we talk a lot about the difference between good stresses and bad stresses. So good stresses are acute stresses, like a cold plunge, because they lower your inflammatory hormones. Bad stresses are chronic low-grade stresses, like dieting, for example. It's a bad stress, or just the chronic stress of trying to make ends meet or past trauma. These are all things we try to work through in the coaching program, but we want to add good stresses because the combination reduces your inflammatory hormones, which reverses insulin and leptin resistance and helps your body lose weight. So it works really, really well. I see that you watched the videos I made. I made a series of videos for this coaching program. I can see that
Yeah, yeah.
you definitely watched them. They're kind of the
And
some of
also,
the,
I've tried
yeah.
a mud bath too.
Yeah. Was that really good?
Do you know what? That was great. And now, every Saturday, I have a bath with magnesium salts in, to restore the magnesium levels, and I have a mud face mask, sort of just on my face when I go in there now. But I have had the whole body, and it's like,
Yeah, it's so interesting because when I started this 1 year program that she's talking about, the Super Live Over for you, I put together a series of 8 videos to me watched once a week, like a quick start type of thing. And you're touching on all the different things. I'm talking about healthy broths, cold plunges, mud baths. The mud baths give you trace minerals. It's very hard to get trace minerals in the food,
yes.
not in the food we're eating anymore, because it's all the food is industrial type of agriculture that doesn't have the trace minerals. And when you don't have those things, you're hungry all the time. You're tired all the time. You're not functioning well. So you take the mud and and your body absorbs it and you just feel amazing. So You look great. You're vibrant. You're smiling. You're happy. It's awesome.
Really, really, really good. So I've I don't have any scales. I have a daughter who's been struggling with anorexia, so we don't have any scales. But I've measured, sort of myself, and I've lost 38 inches, kind of like so.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
I'm just the little things. I was unfortunately at two funerals recently, and I wore a ring that I hadn't been able to wear because it's a thick band for over 10 years. I can't even recall the last time I wore it, and it just slipped on really easily. And I was like, yeah, that's a win.
awesome. Yeah. 38 inches. That's huge. That's awesome. How do you feel? Do you have more energy? Like, do you have more clarity? Give me your overall of your,
Yeah, take away. So to be fair, I've always been a positive person. I've always slept really well. That's been, sort of a bonus. Um, I've been an emotional eater, and that's something that with the coach, she has been incredible. Thank you so much for matching me. She has taught me to be kind to myself. So it's easy to be kind to other people, isn't it? But
yeah.
then you're very judgmental with yourself. And particularly, I had a lot of childhood trauma that I have addressed, and I've always known that the work is inside of me to do. That it's like tending the garden, isn't it? In order to get
It's the
the
most
fruit. So
important work, to do that trauma work is the most important work. There's no question about it.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was for
I
me
mean,
personally also, yeah, and for many people that we work with.
I've addressed parts of it, but not me as a child. So I faced myself as a 6-year-old, and it was quite remarkable. I'll tell you what happened, because this visual um, kind of picture really helped me. So I've lived where we live now for nearly 20 years, and every day I've gone past a house, and because it's near these traffic lights, and the house has got a very tall wooden fence that is not slatted, so you can't see. And then one day the fence was down, and I looked in because I was curious to see, sort of what the house was. And it was two houses. It was one. It's a terrace house, but it'd been split into two flats. And over the course of the next few weeks, it was obvious that they were restoring the house into one.
Okay.
And it felt like it was my life.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Get it.
I'd lived in these
Yeah,
two sections of my life,
yeah.
and it felt like through the therapy that I was actually able to reconcile the two parts of my life, my childhood and my adulthood, and embrace them. And it wasn't as though they were living in parallel. They actually, as an adult, I met the younger Claire, and that was quite emotional, very, very therapeutic. It exceeded anything that I ever thought I would, sort of meet. I've had really good discussions with my brother and my mum, and also really it stirred a lot of memories, and some of them were really positive, sort of memories, and others a bit rebellious. And yeah, just but then now the house is sold, and
Okay.
they've put a new fence around, but it's got slats in the fence, so
Yeah,
every time I go past I can see that it's a single, so
a
it's
fully
one.
integrated house. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I get
So
it.
that was just so peculiar. Every
It's
kind of
interesting that
time
you
I
keyed on that. Sometimes in our life we see there's all this symbology that we miss it most of the time, but you're just so aware. It's cool that you were able to see that. As
yeah, it was
symbology
just
of
like,
life.
that's me.
Yeah. That's awesome. And the emotional work is the most important work. And what's cool is in just a couple of minutes, you've keyed on some of the most important concepts that are life-changing concepts I feel for anyone. That is adding healthy nutrients in a liquid form that's very digestible, healing your digestion. You mentioned kefir. You
Yes,
mentioned the broth. You mentioned kefir, which is healing your digestion, which is
the
the most
greens.
important thing that you need to do when you're over 50, in my opinion. For me personally, I'm over, I'm 60 now. So like when I turned 55, everything changed, got much harder, and healing my digestion was really important. So that you keyed on, getting trace nutrients through the mud, acute stresses, and working through emotional trauma. Those are like in 5 minutes, you just keyed on life-changing concepts. Those when
Yeah.
the changes in your body and your biology when you do those couple of those things that you mentioned, the way your inflammation, and you mentioned how your ring finger is so much smaller, it's because the inflammation is not just that you've lost weight, you haven't just lost like, fat in your fingers per se, you've lost inflammation. The inflammatory hormones are lower, and it's the inflammatory hormones that cause the weight. So you've keyed on everything in a couple of minutes that shows me that you're really you're on the right track. You just keep going in this way. And what's
Yeah,
cool is
yeah.
you just keep getting, when you go in this direction, you keep getting healthier and healthier. Like I'm 10 times healthier now than I was when I was 55. I'm 60 now. I'm 10 times healthier now. And you keep going in that direction. And that's kind of exciting.
Fabulous.
That's
Yeah, for
exciting.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. So what would you say to people that are considering taking the coaching, like doing this
So
down this road?
personally, for myself, I've never spent as much on myself as I did with this, and it's absolutely been worth it.
Yeah.
And from talking to Matt, I think it was initially, who did the screening, and he said, you need a new reset
Mm-hmm.
of your kind of your metabolism. And I thought, yeah, that just makes sense. How do I do that? And what I would say is be curious and don't just settle with thinking, okay, I've got to do X, Y, Z. Be curious as to why you have to do X, Y, Z, why you have to add those things in. What it is, we're also different as people with different backgrounds. But certainly I have embraced the journey, and I'm, as I said when we first spoke, I'm very thankful because it's added so much into my life. My youngest daughter, who's been struggling with anorexia, has turned a corner completely in the last 6 weeks.
That's
So
so beautiful.
that to me, I'm
No,
watching and I'm
that's something
thinking
that I've noticed.
that's incredible.
That's something I've noticed. When you heal yourself, it affects the other people in your life. It's almost like a vibration of healing is giving off.
Yes.
Like your own healing is healing her, possibly, or maybe she's getting inspiration from you. I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but I've seen that in my life and with other people, that when you heal yourself, other people come along and that are close to you. So that's really beautiful.
And also able to share things, with people. My car had a flat tire, so I had to take it to the garage last week. And the guy in there so stressed, and he was drinking. He said it was his eighth Red Bull, and I looked at him and I said, "That's not doing you any good, is it?" And he said, "No, no." He said, "But I just need the energy." So I just I when I came back, because he pumped it up, actually they needed to change it. So when I came back, I had some ideas for him about the greens. I said, this is going to be much better, and just quickly
Yeah, yeah,
explained. And
yeah, yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, you get
you,
passionate, you want to share with people, that's
yeah,
one of the
well, I've
motivations. You
seen
just
the
like,
difference in me.
yeah,
So and of course I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you're just so stressed, and so you just look unwell,
yeah,
and if you can just embrace a little bit of it was just the greens, really. I just thought, if you can have that,
yeah.
rather than your 8 Red Bulls, you'll be
Because
feeling
then
in a
you're getting
different place altogether.
real nutrients, as opposed to just boosting yourself with
Yes.
sugar and then causing hormonal chaos from that.
Well, you just go up and down, don't you? So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, yeah. Well, so what's next for you on your journey? What do you feel?
so
What do you keep
I've started a new business venture. I work for myself as well. So I've started, and I just thought, that's interesting. That is the timing, the timing of that. I play a lot of tennis. I play for the David Lloyd club.
awesome.
And I probably play about 10 to 12 hours of tennis, sort of a week.
Yeah.
We're in match season because it's our summer here.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And the matches are going really well.
So is
So
it easier to get around now than it was like a year ago when you're playing
oh
this and things?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. A year ago, I had had an injury, a knee injury, in the previous 12 months, and I'm convinced that part of that is the extra weight that I was carrying.
And the inflammation.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's all gone now.
So,
That injury's gone, and you're feeling
oh
good.
yeah, yeah. It's all, it's it's great.
Yeah,
And one day I played 3 games in a day.
amazing.
And I just thought, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that a year ago.
Such a good feeling. You know, to me, one of the as I mentioned, when I turned 55, things got harder again for me, but now I'm in a really good place. And this is something about getting older, you just expect to get more tired, more weaker, fatter, to turn the clock back and to feel better each year as opposed to worse. There's something really magical about that.
There is, yeah, yeah.
It's an exciting feeling. It's compelling. You're breaking the mold. You're not doing what everyone else is doing. And then you're in uncharted territory. And that's kind of cool, and I see you going
Yeah,
that direction
yeah.
now too. So
It's an expectation, actually, isn't it now? It's like I'm not on a decline.
yeah, it's exciting. You got to start
Yeah,
thinking about what a lot of all the things you couldn't do and all the things you can do and all the things you'll be able to do that maybe next year that you can't do now. Who knows? I don't know.
yes, indeed,
Yeah,
indeed. It's not like a finished,
yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
It's a journey,
Yeah.
John. That's what
But
it
you
is.
really
It's a
listened.
journey.
I can tell in the first 5 minutes that you really paid attention. You really listened. You did the simple. I made a couple of quick videos, and you did each one of those things. And those things, they're simple things, and they're not. Nothing's about counting calories or taking away or any of those things. It's all about adding, nourishing, nurturing, and healing. And you did those things, and those were life-changing for you. And I couldn't be happier. So I'm really happy.
Absolutely. I've fasted for 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, that was interesting because I thought that you would just be like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but
That
you
is
don't ever get more hungry.
that is
You
interesting.
feel hunger, but
Yeah.
then after 10 minutes, it passes and you don't feel hungry again until the next time that you would normally eat.
Yeah, yeah. It goes
And
and then it goes
I thought
away.
that was interesting.
It is really that one is an interesting one. Yeah. But that's something you do for a short term just to heal, just to detoxify.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that
Just
that's a
three
really
days.
powerful thing to do. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Claire, I really appreciate you taking your time to share with us, and I'm so happy for you. And I invite you to reach out to me anytime you want to and let me know how you're doing and anytime we can help you. And
Thank you.
keep up the great work.
I will do. And thank you for the program. And anyone who's considering joining, just go ahead and do it. You won't regret it.
Right? Leave it at that. Thanks everyone for listening. And if you have any questions for us, reach out. We'd love to help.